Savitar is a character most known from the Flash TV show, where he was the big bad of Season 3. However, in the comics, he's nothing close to that. Instead, he's never named, hardly used, and is killed by a single touch. He debuted in The Flash 108 from 1995, during Wally's time as the Flash. He's an old military pilot from the past, who, during a supersonic experimental plane project, he would be infused with the Speed Force, turning him into a speedster. And he thinks that this is some sort of gift from God, and takes up the name of Savitar. However, back in the past, there is another hero who is a speedster, that is Max Mercury, who tried stopping his insanity, which resulted in Savitar being tossed into the future through the Speed Force. This is how we got to the present, where he would have a run-in with Wally West. The two would battle, with Savitar being the villain of a small arc in the Flash comics and would show up twice in the Impulse comics. However, despite being the main villain of this arc, he was hardly in it. Instead, he was just an evil speedster that was talked about a lot off-panel. And at the end of the day, Wally trapped Savitar into the Speed Force, with a total of only 6 issue appearances from Savitar, 2 of which were Impulse, 4 of which were the Flash. Afterwards, Savitar would be gone for literal years. However, he would be included in DC encyclopaedias, but he would return later on in the Flash Rebirth in 2009. As in Rebirth, the storyline, not the reboot. Here, when Barry Allen is out of the Speed Force, Savitar follows, only for Barry to touch him, and Savitar just straight up dies. This was because Barry became the new Black Flash, and any speedster touched would die. This continued with Lady Flash losing her life as well. Savitar would be gone for a while, but he would return in the actual reboot Rebirth this time, with all his history staying the same. The reason why I point that out is because that wasn't the case for a lot of characters. But luckily for me and for you, that's not the case with Savitar. The Speed Force has its kind of afterlife, which is also referred to as a prison. Savitar came back from there, after being saved by Wally, who then fought him. Savitar would actually temporarily affect Speedster's powers, but it wasn't long term, with Savitar ending up back in the prison. And that was it for him in the comics. However, luckily, that would actually mean that he is still alive, so if the comics decide to use him again, they don't have to retcon his death, as they kind of made a backdoor way of actually bringing him back if they want to, but they don't have to, they don't want to, as he could also just stay in the prison, aka afterlife of the Speed Force. Savitar is most known for the Flash TV show, where he's a future version of Barry Allen in a blue mech armor. He would be the main villain of the 3rd season, where Barry Allen would see that Savitar will kill his wife, Iris. He would try his hardest to prevent this, which he does do in a way, as what he saw would happen, but Iris herself wouldn't die. Instead, Savitar killed HR. Throughout the season, we would learn more about the character's history. He was once trapped in the Speed Force, like in the comics, as well as the God idea is played up a lot more here. He would also ally himself with Killer Frost in order to kill Black Flash. However, he'd ultimately be defeated when Iris shoots him in the back, before he could hurt the real Barry. After Season 3, we would get flashbacks of him or hallucinations, but unlike most villains, he's already played by an actor, that being Grant Gustin, who's on the show, and he's set to appear in the series finale. Despite the name, Savitar on the show doesn't really have much in common with the character in the comics. Yes, the Speed Force present is present, as is the God aspects. However, the character seems more or less in line with the Lightning version of Barry Allen, which does explain the blue. Comic book version of Savitar is, in my opinion, a weaker Flash villain. He has no motivation and doesn't even have a name. And when he comes back, he could have been a great villain, because Barry Allen did technically kill him by accident. However, they don't really use that. There are a lot of speedster villains in the comics, and a lot, in my opinion, are very good, like Reverse Flash, Godspeed, Zoom, and maybe Savitar is just one too many. The TV show version of Savitar, in my opinion, is a lot stronger than he is in the comics, for the fact that he actually has a real motivation, and a personal connection to the hero, which not all villains have to have, of course, but it does make him stand out a little more than it does in the comics. Because while, in my opinion, there are certain flaws in Savitar's plan in the show, you at least can kind of just go with it, because Savitar is a very cool looking villain, and his personal connection to Barry is pretty interesting. Even if I have to admit, it is a little predictable. As when the whole Season 3 of The Flash came out, and it was coming out properly every week, almost everybody guessed Savitar immediately was Barry Allen. But hey, I still liked it. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.